How long should you code for each day? Well, in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on, depending on your goals and your circumstances, how long you should code for each day. Well, like I was saying, this really depends on your goals. So say for instance, you have a job, you're working at a company, and you're working as a programmer. So maybe your goal is to work up and be a manager of coders. Well, you might actually want to code less and spend more time going to things like meetings and managing things like Jira, which is a task manager, or Trello is another one. So just diverting your focus to whatever your goals are, that's what I would recommend if you're in that position wanting to move up into management. But unfortunately, in the corporate world, there's only so much room for management. Like, not everyone can be a manager, and so there are still a lot of coders needed, and you still can progress as a coder, like get paid higher and higher salary, and just be a more valuable coder that way, producing higher quality results and so forth. And there are a lot more positions in that regard, a lot more like actual coders needed, because it makes sense that there would be less managers than there are coders. Otherwise, as a coder, you might have like 10 different managers, and that wouldn't really make any sense. Okay, so that's the first thing I just wanted to address, is the goals. That's going to impact your end number of how many hours you should be coding a day. The next thing I wanted to address is flow, and for this I wanted to just draw a picture. So what flow is basically like a state of focus. So as a programmer, flow is very important because once you get into flow, it means you're fully in focus of whatever you're working on. But the moment someone distracts you, it takes you a minute to like remember again what you were working on and the state of all these different variables and so forth. Because with programming, there's a lot in your short-term memory, but as soon as someone comes in, opens the door, distracts you, all of that just kind of gets flushed out, and then you have to start all over again once they leave. So in my picture here, let's say that the x-axis is time and the y-axis is productivity. So when you start coding something, it usually looks something like this. Your productivity starts steadily going up until you achieve flow. And then once you're in flow, you sort of have like a constant state of productivity, more or less constant depending on how many bugs you encounter. And then if someone interrupts you, you go all the way back down to 0 immediately because you're not working anymore. And then in order to start working again, you have to ramp up that flow again and refocus your efforts. And then once you achieve flow, you're back again. So you can see that this area right here is the real problem. If you're working in like short spurts, just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there, this time is very not productive. It's a bad trade-off between time and productivity. And so when working, one of the most important things to do is to just block your time out, like try and have as few distractions as possible in there. Put on headphones, lock yourself in a room, doesn't matter, just get rid of all distractions somehow, and then you can stay in the flow state for much longer, because really the only thing that gets you out of flow is a distraction, or if you finish your work. But if you finish your work, it doesn't really matter that you're not productive because you're done. Alright, coming back full circle, we've considered goals, flow, and now I want to consider health. I want to tell you guys a story about when I was working back in Seattle making my 6-figure salary. I was working like a 10 to 6 job. It was a great job, paid well, people were nice, and everything else, but while I was working there, I was typing so much that I started to get hand pain after like a year of typing. Like, I'm not joking, I would type for probably like 7 of the 9 hours. So it was like pretty physically exhausting. I was building a lot of new code for them, so and I was really good at Angular, so I was able to just pump that stuff out. They're really happy with the results, but I was kind of sacrificing my health. But all that intense work was really at my own expense. There were a lot of people that just coasted by, you know, maybe watched like a sports or an esports video game on YouTube or something like that while they're working, just kind of coasting by. Whereas I was just kind of pumping out code as fast as possible, but it was really to my own expense. I didn't get anything more out of that than they did. aside from my skills at least. But that definitely wasn't worth it because I injured myself doing this. So now I take breaks when coding. Every hour I take a break and I go walk around, do some pull-ups, whatever I feel like, jump on the trampoline, anything to stay healthy and active, which is why I kind of like more of the freelancer work from home sort of thing. Alright, so with all those things in mind, the goals, the flow, and the health considerations, what I aim for is something like 6 hours tops of programming, of like actual typing, and that's with 5 to 10 minute breaks in between each coding session. That way I'm still able to achieve flow for a long period of time. An hour is quite a long period of time for actual coding. You can get a lot done. And so I do that 6 different times throughout the day. I'm able to get an insane amount of work done. Yeah, so 6 hours per day is my recommended dosage of programming for everyone who is like full-time. I think any more than that physically would be too much over like years for an individual. I think it would have a toll on your health. So if you have an actual job where you're showing up to work 9 to 5 or whatever, try just going to more meetings and stuff like that. Take a break, go outside, walk around, take a longer lunch. And if anyone gives you a hard time about it, just tell them my story. They won't want to lose you as an employee. Alright, and then on the flip side of things, if you are not actually working as a coder for your full-time job, then you probably only have a couple of hours to work like when you get home. In which case, good for you guys. Good job on you putting in that extra hustle, but try not to spend too much extra time at the computer. Couple extra hours after work, that should do it. Alright guys, so that concludes the videos. Those are my opinions on the matter. 6 or so hours if you're full-time, 1 or 2 hours if you have a separate full-time job and this is your side hustle. Leave a comment below. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? This is just my experience after all, just sharing what I've learned personally. So leave a comment down below. What do you think is the recommended hours per day for you, or what you would recommend based on your experiences? Leave a like if you did enjoy this video, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.